The Rapist Who Faked His Death, the South Africa Prison Break. Don't miss the next case. Subscribe, like, and share your thoughts below. The smell of burning flesh filled the air as thick black smoke poured from cell 35 at Manhunt Prison. Guards shouted, alarms wailed, and prisoners screamed for help as flames licked the steel bars. Inside that cell, a body lay motionless on the mattress, face charred, body unrecognizable. Hours later, officials would confirm it. Thabo Bester is dead. The Facebook rapist, the man who had once lured women online, attacked them, and even murdered one, was gone, burned alive in his own cell. Or so everyone believed. But something was wrong, deeply wrong. The corpse found in that cell didn't quite fit the story. The teeth didn't match Bester's dental records. The burns seemed deliberate. And weeks later, a security camera outside the prison caught someone who looked exactly like Thabo Bester, tall, confident, wearing designer clothes, walking freely in a shopping mall. South Africa went into shock. If that wasn't Bester's body, then whose body had been burned inside the cell? And how could a man locked inside a maximum security prison fake his own death? It all started months earlier, far from the chaos of that burning cell. Back then, Thabo Bester sat quietly in his corner of the high-security wing, pretending to be a changed man. He smiled politely at guards, helped with small jobs, and even wrote letters to schools, warning students about the dangers of social media. Everyone thought he was trying to make peace with his past. But behind that calm face, Thabo was planning something big. He had managed to make contact with someone outside the prison, a woman named Dr. Nandi Coleman, a beautiful and successful celebrity doctor from Johannesburg. The two met years before his arrest, but after his conviction, she began visiting him regularly, claiming to be offering therapy and counseling. No one suspected that the visits were part of something darker. Each time she came, she smuggled in little things, SIM cards, small tools, and once a phone hidden inside a Bible. Slowly, piece by piece, Thabo built his way back to the outside world. From his cell, he managed to create fake online companies, run scams, and even hold Zoom meetings pretending to be free. The guards had no idea. Then, one night in May 2022, when the prison lights dimmed, a loud explosion echoed from cell 35. Flames burst from the window, and within minutes, everything was covered in smoke. Guards rushed in, only to find a burning body on the floor, and Thabo Bester's prison number written on the wall beside it. They believed it was him. But in truth, Thabo was already gone. They'll never find me. And then, an unexpected call came through to the warden's office that very night from a private number. A calm, chilling voice said only one thing before hanging up. You buried the wrong man. The warden froze. Who was on that call? Could Thabo really be alive? The phone call haunted the warden all night. He barely slept, replaying those words in his head. You buried the wrong man. By morning, whispers had already started spreading through the prison. Some guards said they saw strange men around the compound days before the fire. Others claimed that Thabo had been behaving oddly cheerful that week, even humming songs while cleaning his cell. Investigators arrived the next day, led by a detective named Michael Rhodes, a quiet man with sharp eyes and a habit of noticing what others ignored. He walked into the burnt cell and crouched beside the charred remains. The body was smaller than expected, thinner, and the teeth didn't seem to match the dental record. He lifted his head slowly. This isn't Bester, he said flatly. The room fell silent. The warden turned pale. What do you mean? I mean, Michael said. Someone else died here. And Thabo Bester walked out alive. Outside the prison, life seemed normal. Except it wasn't. On the outskirts of Johannesburg, in a gated mansion surrounded by tall palm trees, a man was living like a king. He wore fine suits, drove expensive cars, and threw small parties where no one asked too many questions. The neighbors knew him as Tom Bentley, a successful businessman who always paid in cash. No one knew that Tom Bentley was actually Thabo Bester, the man the world thought was dead. Dr. Nandi Coleman was always by his side. She told her friends she was finally happy, that she'd found a man who understood her. Together, they built fake businesses, hosted charity events, and smiled for photos. Every time someone mentioned Thabo's name in the news, they would switch off the TV and laugh quietly. But Nandi didn't laugh for long. She started to notice things: Thabo's paranoia, his short temper, his obsession with control. He didn't want her leaving the house without permission. He'd watch her phone, her calls, even her expressions. Meanwhile, Detective Rhodes began to dig deeper. He discovered that the body in cell 35 belonged to a man who had died days earlier in a local hospital. His body had been stolen from the morgue. Someone had planted it in Thabo's cell, set it on fire, and staged the scene to make it look like suicide. Rhodes looked at the evidence board filled with photos and notes. This wasn't just an escape, he said to his partner. It was a performance. But the more he uncovered, the more dangerous it became. One night, after leaving the prison, a dark SUV followed his car down an empty road. The headlights stayed close, uncomfortably close. He sped up, but so did the SUV. Then a loud bang. A tire blew out. His car spun off the road, crashing into a ditch. When he opened his eyes, smoke filled the air and a shadow approached his window. The figure leaned in, whispering through the glass, "Stop looking for ghosts, detective. Some dead men prefer to stay that way." Before he could respond, the shadow vanished into the night, leaving Michael gasping and realizing that Thabo Bester wasn't just a fugitive. He was a man with powerful friends who would kill to keep his secret buried. Detective Michael Rhodes woke up in the hospital the next morning, bruised but alive. His car was destroyed, and the report called it an accident, but he knew better. Someone wanted to scare him off the case. But Michael wasn't the type to quit, not when he was this close. From his hospital bed, he called his partner, Sarah, and said, "Find every camera between Bloemfontein and Johannesburg. If Bester's alive, we'll find him." It didn't take long. A week later, Sarah burst into the room, laptop in hand. "Mike, you need to see this." She showed him grainy footage from a luxury shopping mall, a tall man in a designer jacket walking hand in hand with a woman in sunglasses. He looked straight at the camera for half a second, his lips curling into a faint smile. It was Thabo Bester, the man everyone thought was dead. The news broke the next day. Facebook: Rapist alive, living freely in Johannesburg. The country went into chaos. Protests erupted outside the prison. Journalists demanded answers. How could a murderer fake his death under state watch? Inside government offices, people panicked. Officials denied everything. But Thabo and Dr. Nandi knew their time was running out. That night, they packed their bags. In the dark of the mansion, Nandi whispered, "We can still make it to Tanzania by morning." But Thabo didn't answer. He was pacing the room, his mind racing. "They'll catch us if we fly," he said. "We drive. Tonight." He opened a secret compartment in the wall and pulled out several passports, all with different names and faces. As they drove through the night, Nandi's hands trembled on the steering wheel. She looked at him, fear in her eyes. "Thabo, how long can we keep running?" He stared ahead, cold and expressionless. "As long as it takes." Back in South Africa, Michael Rhodes had one lead left, a credit card used at a fuel station near the border. He alerted Tanzanian authorities immediately. Within hours, the manhunt stretched across countries. Roadblocks went up. Helicopters hovered above the highways. At sunrise, Thabo and Nandi reached the Tanzanian border. They thought they had made it. But just as they crossed, armed officers surrounded their car. "Step out of the vehicle," one shouted. Thabo tried to reach for something under his seat, but before he could, a dozen rifles were aimed at him. Nandi screamed, "Don't shoot." The next morning, headlines around the world flashed one story: Thabo Bester and Dr. Nandi Coleman arrested in Tanzania. When Michael received the call confirming the arrest, he closed his eyes and finally exhaled. "It's over," he said quietly. But deep down, he knew something: men like Thabo Bester never truly stop. Even behind bars, his name would haunt South Africa for years to come. As Thabo sat in his new cell, far from the luxury mansion, a small smile crept across his face. He looked straight into the security camera and whispered, "You caught me once, but not forever." And for a chilling second, Even the guards watching him felt it, the uneasy thought that maybe this wasn't the end. If this case stunned you, the next one will haunt you. Subscribe for what's coming.